What is up, 2K crew? My God, this has been just an awesome sports weekend. Am I wrong, 2Ks?
No, you are not.
Man, we got college football in full effect. We've got the NFL just rolling, and we've got baseball playoffs, which, if you've been a fan of the show for any amount of time, you know this is my favorite time of year. I mean, how could it not, 2Ks? How could it not?
Yeah, I mean, the last few years, my baseball team really hasn't been exciting. But when you have football going at the same time, Obviously the last couple of years, football has kind of taken the reins in the Kaler household, but hopefully the Tigers will be up and coming and be exciting to talk about baseball here in the next year or so.
I ran into Denny Small after the JV game on Thursday or on Wednesday, I think it was, and him and I were talking, and both him and I are very, very optimistic as to what the Tigers have coming forward. So
this offseason to me is the most interesting one that the Tigers have had now, and I mean basically since they decided to become sellers and sell everybody off. It's been some really rough years, and to have the season that they had this year, obviously today being the last game of the season for them, I think they played way over what people were expecting. I mean, I remember at the beginning of the year, kind of looking at the odds of betting on games, they were picking the Tigers to possibly win less than 60 games.
Yeah.
And today, to end up with win number 77 to end the season, a lot of good things to look forward to. And then, obviously the big names like Torkelson, Riley Green coming next year, and then to see what they're going to do in free agency. I mean, they haven't really waved away saying that Carlos Correa is kind of a player that they want to target and go after. Is Houston going to pay the money to keep him in Houston, or if he, because I think if he does become a free agent, I got to say the Tigers probably have the best odds of getting him just because of that connection that he has with AJ Hinch.
Absolutely. Obviously
winning the World Series with him. But right now, I think a lot of people, especially Tigers fans, are forgetting Houston's going to have the first go at trying to re-sign him. And are they going to let arguably the best shortstop in the game right now?
Yeah.
Are they going to let him walk?
I was going to say they'd be silly not to throw him a contract, but we'll see. It's definitely, if you're a Tigers fan, you can definitely tell that the tide is turning. It's not going to be as grim for as long as a lot of folks seem to when this whole process initially started. And we'll get into both the AL and the NL playoff race. We'll kind of give you our predictions, kind of break them down for you. But before we get into that 2Ks, let's take care of some housework here. For those of you listening on the podcast side, thank you for listening. Go ahead and stick around for the whole show because it's pretty awesome, we think. And it's not just us that says that. A lot of other people really enjoy this. So if you're one of those, make sure you hit the follow and a like. And if you're watching live on YouTube or the replay, we love you just as much. And if you guys are feeling saucy, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give us a comment, and we'll feature you on the show. We've had some very interactive shows here lately, and to be honest with you, it makes it a little bit more fun for us. And if you guys are feeling extra saucy and want to help financially support the show, go to buyturboabeer.com and buy 2Ks and I a beer, and we'll give you a big shout out on next week's show. Well, 2Ks, with that being said, American League Playoffs, and I have to be fourth and just up front. And if you would have told me that at the beginning of the season the Red Sox would need to win to get into the wild card, I would have been ecstatic. But my faith in this team right now is not where it should be, just because they could have easily hosted this game, or at least challenged the Rays for the division crown with the games they had, leading down the stretch. You can't lose games to Baltimore. You can't lose games to the Nationals. There's a complete fire sale there. Poor Juan Soto is the only dude left standing, him and Jordan Zimmerman. But those are games that you can't lose, and then have to rely on the Rays beating the Yankees, even though they've already clinched the division. It's pretty much like they're saying, all right, well, Boston, here we go. We'll help you in. And then we had a team in the Blue Jays that coming down the stretch played some amazing baseball, and they pitched very well. We all, even from the preview show 2Ks, I think you and I are both in agreement that this offense can go.
Oh yeah.
It's just going to be the pitching staff. It might be their Achilles heel, and maybe it was just one of those things where, it was just a little too late. So, and then surprisingly, out of nowhere, we had a Seattle Mariners team come on, and like, holy shit, where the hell these guys come from? And probably, if I remember the stat right, this is their best season since what, 2001, when they won all those games and then took a shit in the first round of the playoffs. But so it was you talk about exciting, nail biting, stressful. Shouldn't have been that way, but all in all, a very, very, very exciting. At least, and then on the American League side and the National League side. Here, let me throw up this graphic for y'all on YouTube. As it sits right now, I believe it's Tuesday that the wild cards go off. We've got Boston playing at New York, even though, now, for those of you watching, this graphic is a little bit, it has Boston hosting New York, but this was as of this morning. So New York will be hosting Boston. Winner of that plays Tampa. It's been set for a while that the White Sox will play in Houston, and then on the National League side, we've got St. Louis going to LA, and then the winner of that plays, I think, probably the biggest surprise out of everybody in the Giants. And then the Brewers are hosting another. If you would have told me that Atlanta was going to win that division without Acuna
injury,
I would have said you're crazy. But I think it's with, when we get to the National League side, I'll kind of give you my thoughts on that. But I think the biggest story out of the National League is not who's in, but who's out. There's a Padres team there that spent a lot of money in the offseason. They're nowhere to be seen. You could chalk it up to that division that they play in, or injuries. You know, Tatis, in my eyes, is still the National League MVP, even though he missed all that time. Maybe those caught up to him. It seemed like Snell and Darvish kind of ran out of gas towards the end of the season. So, gonna be interesting to see where that team goes. But let's start off with the elephant in the room, 2Ks. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not very comfortable with my Red Sox playing in Yankee Stadium on Tuesday. I don't like it.
No, I wouldn't be either, because, I mean, when we were talking about the Red Sox at the All-Star break, we were thinking
best team in baseball.
Yeah, right there. I mean, as far as best, maybe not best team in baseball, but right there as far as best team in the American League, and maybe the only one that could contend with them was Tampa Bay. And we thought it was going to be a race between those two teams, and kind of just wrote the Yankees off.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, after the deadline, the Yankees were probably one of the most active teams during that deadline, but still, we still thought Boston Boston and Tampa are going to run away with this. It's going to be those two teams. One of them's obviously going to win the division. The other team's going to make it in the playoffs easy. Now we're talking about this Yankees team. You know, all three of them obviously make it, but we're talking about this Yankees team squaring off against Boston. And the Yankees have been one of the hottest teams in baseball since that conversation. And Boston has been, I'm not going to say that they have shit the bed, but they've just been pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
The whole second half of the season. They were you know, awesome first half of the season, and then second half of the season, I don't know what changed, what, you know, played the factor in it, but
the bullpen,
they
mostly.
just completely, you know, it was a completely different team. I don't know, the energy level just wasn't there. It just wasn't the same. So as far as Boston and the Yankees to square off, I got to take the Yankees.
I think it's I don't know if it's been reported, but it's kind of been speculated that the Yankees will be starting Garrett Cole versus Nathan Eovaldi. And there's even some rumors going around that and no, the ESPN alert is not the rumor that I'm talking about. But one of the reasons that they pulled Chris Sale so early today is if they need him on Tuesday. And to be honest with you, the way he looked today, I would just ride Eovaldi. Yes, he's been not as electric as he once was. He's one of those guys he's either unhittable or he's going to give up 4 runs. That seems to be very, very few and far between starts that are kind of mediocre. It's either all or nothing. The only kind of saving grace that I'm taking out of this is the last couple starts, Garrett Cole hasn't looked like the dominant Garrett Cole that we're all used to. So does that give me a little bit of confidence?
You know, we're looking at a situation where it's one game. You got one game. You have to win. You need somebody's best. I'm taking Garrett Cole all day in this matchup. As much as I want Boston to win this game.
Yeah, because we hate the Yankees.
Because we hate the Yankees, obviously. And I'm going to be honest, not a huge Garrett Cole fan.
Nope. But
you got to respect the guy and what he's done throughout his career, especially what he did last season, when, and the season before that, watching him. Big game situation. Need one game. You need one win. There's no way I can go against Garrett Cole in this game.
And then once you get past Garrett Cole, I mean, if you're the Yankees management, if you get 5 solid innings out of Garrett Cole, you got to ride that bullpen. I mean, you've got Herman, there's Severino and then you still have one of the more dominant closers in Chapman in the game. So it's like, all right, well, if you're doing a side-by-side pitching staff comparison, you have to give the nod to New York, and it pains me to say that. And that's getting back to your point, is that when they seem to kind of fade during the second half. That's why if you're a Red Sox fan, yeah, it was cool that you went out and got Schwarber. Yeah, that's cool. Mm-hmm. But last I checked, Schwarber can't pitch out of the bullpen, and the closer signed to a closer deal. Next thing you know, he's shitting the complete bed, and it's like, all right, well, where do we go from here? And I don't know. It's just super, super frustrating. The only thing that kind of gives me a little bit more, I would say, ease of mind is, like I said, if you would have given me this situation at the beginning of the season, I would have been all just completely on board. But to see how the ups and downs and just the inconsistencies is what drives me nuts. And it seems to me like the only team that really didn't have any of these inconsistencies or ups and downs are the Giants. Mm-hmm. And the Giants are the team that we thought, well, shit.
It's a matter of time. Just a matter of time, and they're gonna fall off.
It's not an even numbered year. They can't win a World Series. It's not an even numbered year. But no, it's as much as it's frustrating, it's also gives me, like, I'm super excited. I'm super excited. I have a feeling that no matter which team comes out of this Boston, New York 1-game playoff, Tampa's just going to beat the shit out of them. If it is the Yankees, Tampa just beat the shit out of them, playing for nothing. And all in all, and if you put all the pieces together, I mean, there's a reason why Tampa they're the number 1 seed on the American League side, because they are a badass ball team. And if you think about it this way, that's without Blake Snell. You know, Blake Snell had a hell of a run in the postseason last year. And they went out and added. They were the first team to make that big free agent splash and get Nelson Cruz. And we've seen. I mean, that's all Nelson Cruz has ever done in his career is hit bombs. And that was kind of in their playoff run last year is what really kind of held him back. I mean, it was like a Rosarena and nobody else. So to add that bat, which in my opinion, 2Ks, and you could call me out on this one, this was not a Tampa-esque move. Mm-hmm. They're not ones that go out and make those big free agent splashes. They're the ones that everything's pretty much homegrown. Mm-hmm. Everything's homegrown, so it was very exciting to see them do that. You know, even in the Red Sox division. I mean, but still. And then you compare that with the free agent trades that not the free agents, but the trades that the Yankees made at the deadline. Jesus, I mean, you go out and get 2 hefty lefties that I think, looking back, if you're a Yankees fan, you might say they kind of overpaid for. It's been well documented on this show. I've always loved Anthony Rizzo, but was he worth the acquisition? In my mind, I don't think so.
No.
I mean,
but you wonder,
Schwarber has out-hit him.
You wonder, a guy like Rizzo, though, joining that Yankees team is to get somebody in that clubhouse that has been there before.
Yeah.
Because when you look at this Yankee roster now, you're used to it being, all veterans. You're used to, obviously the Jeters and all the big names that are used to winning, all the time. And now you look at it, and the only guy that's left from those teams is Brett Gardner.
Yeah.
And it's not the same Brett Gardner that we were watching. You know, he's not anything close to what he used to be. Not that he was ever an all-star caliber, but he was a grinder and a very solid player.
Yeah. His entire career has been, you hate that guy because he's not on your team. If he was on your team, you'd love the shit out of him.
And I think Rizzo was that guy in with the Cubs. You know, he had been with the Cubs when the Cubs were awful. He was then, you know, obviously still there when they won their World Series. But I think he was the glue to that team. He's what held everybody together. He knew how to win. He knew what it took. He knew, you know, how to, you know, have a close team and you know, and for everybody to, and I think everybody around the whole league respects that guy.
Oh yeah.
So when you add a presence like that into your clubhouse, maybe the Yankees were looking for somebody like that more than that. And what he does between the lines is good too. He's one of the best defensive first basemen there is.
Absolutely.
He's a clutch hitter. You know, he was
short porch and right.
Yes,
I mean,
everything kind of
both him and Gallo both. I mean, it seems like that park is just made for those two.
Absolutely.
Just a bash.
Absolutely.
But it was, I mean, and if you watched any or kept tabs on any of the Yankee game today, it was what was it 1-0? They beat the Rays. Yeah. And it was an Aaron Judge walk-off single.
Infield single.
Yeah. So, and I'm hoping by Tuesday that I don't know if you saw this 2Ks, but JD Martinez went out of the game. I think it was like the 5th inning or 6th inning. Was jogging out to right field, stepped on second base, and sprained his ankle.
Why are you stepping on the bases when you're running out into like? Focus up, JD.
Well, being a first baseman and second baseman my whole entire baseball career, it was kind of ingrained in us. You don't step on the lines going onto the field or off the field. And even at first, I never stepped on the base. So chalk that up as like, you know, what was that, Joel Zamaya and his Guitar Hero. Injury? Yeah. But 2K crew, if we do seem kind of we're definitely not uninterested in the conversation, but it's the fucking Goat Bowl, which I understand why folks are calling it that, but man, it just sounds so stupid.
Fournette just hit the truck stick on
that one. Did. Yeah, he did. He hit the B button on him. Hold on 1 second. I'm sitting here trying to figure out where the sound's coming from, and we're listening to Mr. Franks over on the card break side here. So Ryan, I love you, but we're gonna have to mute you here, buddy. So if you guys are wanting in on a Bowman Sterling baseball half case, random teams, you can go over to Firehand Cards or youtube.com/firehandcards. Okay, now that that's out of my ear, I'm sitting here thinking, what in the hell is that noise? Well, 2K crew, we figured it out. We figured out amongst the baseball conversation and the Goat Bowl, just a little sneak peek at Firehand Cards if you guys do want to go ahead and get in a break. But 2K's, instead of talking about that, let's continue talking about baseball here. Let's talk about the Sox and the Astros. The Astros, I mean, really didn't talk about them a lot this year. They kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody still hasn't forgot.
Oh no.
You know, the whole cheating thing.
No.
And I think everybody's kind of afraid to talk about them. Everybody just wants to hate them still.
Oh yeah, I do.
I mean that's kind of where I stand with the whole situation. And here I am as a Tigers fan with the manager of that team and hoping like hell that they bring over Carlos Correa, who was right in the center of that. But until Correa becomes a Tiger,
you hate him.
I hate him. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I know.
And I hate this Houston team.
Yeah, and keep in mind, folks, this is a Houston team without Justin Verlander. Mm-hmm. I thought for sure, especially because Greinke's had kind of a shit year, and as many times as I bet on Lance McCullers to win this year, and he didn't, he's dead to me. Fuck you.
Well,
fuck you, Lance McCullers.
He's the one that would be starting on Tuesday for this game, the first game, or not Tuesday, Thursday, the first game against the White Sox.
Who do the White Sox have going?
They haven't announced
TBD?
It. Yeah. So, to me, the White Sox have 3 or 4 different ways they can go with this, and that's another thing. Like we talked a lot about, and everybody was talking about, who do the White Sox have this year for pitching? And to me, the White Sox pitching has been kind of the thing that has carried them. The offense hasn't been. I mean, the offense was really good in the beginning of the year, but here down the stretch a little bit, offense hasn't been doing kind of what we expected to. A lot of injuries that they battled through this entire season. Obviously, offense has still been very good, but the pitching has been, arguably maybe the best pitching in all the American leagues come from the White Sox, both starting and bullpen.
Yeah, and they and kind of the weird dynamic with that team is, they went out and got Kimbrel from the Cubs, and they've been using him as an eighth inning guy because their closer's next to lights out. And he's also a dude I would not want to piss off and meet in a dark alley. It looks like that guy would fuck you up. But no, that's going to be interesting to see kind of down the, once the playoffs start. How is it one of those things where do you ride the hot hand? There's a lot of things that go into that. And then put on top of this 2Ks, Tony La Russa is like 90 years old. And there's a lot of folks at the beginning of the season, they're like, maybe his style is outdated. Maybe, he doesn't have the same kind of pitching staff or in the pitching coaches that he had in St. Louis. So how is this going to work? I think it's worked pretty fucking good.
Yeah, like I just said, their pitching, to me, they have the best pitching staff in all of baseball. Maybe when you start naming the names don't sound like the best staff, but they are the best staff. If you look at the numbers, they're the best staff. From starting pitching to their bullpen, they've been the best staff all year. Everybody talked at the beginning of the season. It was going to be the offense. The offense was going to be it. The offense was going to be key. Well, the offense hasn't lived up to what, and a lot of it has to do with injuries, obviously. The offense has been very good. I'm not saying that they've been bad, but you can compare it to what they've done, what their offense has done to some other teams like Tampa, like Boston, like New York, like Houston. Houston's offense has been phenomenal this year. Their offense hasn't been that, but the pitching has been. So maybe La Russa doesn't have the same guy, as their coaching staff there, or as their pitching coach there.
Well, there's only one Mike Maddox, so.
Yeah. Is it still the same name?
Okay. Yeah, and what, since we're on the Mike Maddox train, big shout out to his name just slipped my mind. The guy who's starting for the Cardinals, the first game, Wainwright. Big shout out to him signing another year contract. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. And he's only like 48 years old, but he's like 17-7, I think I saw. So, man,
that's another
resurgent.
I know we're obviously going to get to that, and maybe that would just be our transition into
why not
into the National League games. But I'm looking forward to that game. The Dodgers, I think they were everybody's favorite to win it all this year. Here they are in a one-game playoff to continue, continue into the playoffs because of what the Giants did this year.
And the Dodgers are playing arguably the hottest team in the fucking league.
Yes.
Everybody
wrote them off.
Any team that's listed here, out of any team, I would pick St. Louis last. They've got those boys rolling, and like I said, Wainwright, and I think it's come out that is it this year's Yachty's last year or next year? Either way,
he's coming back next year.
Okay,
yeah.
So him not coming back and them signing Wainwright kind of had me going, all right, well, that doesn't really make sense, but but to have both of them back, why the hell not?
Yeah.
Why the hell not? Yachty is walking into the Hall of Fame, first ballot, hands down. Wainwright, still in my eyes, is not especially not a first ballot Hall of Fame pitcher. He ranks up there kind of not as good as like Curt Schilling, but still that same kind of pedigree, same kind of give me the ball every fifth day and I'll pitch until my arm falls off type of dude. So Hall of Famer in my eyes, no, not a Hall of Famer. But getting back to that team 2Ks, man.
There's probably only one other team in baseball right now that's hotter than the Cardinals, and that's the Dodgers. So we have these two teams going off against each other. We have Wainwright, who, in my eyes, I think I have to give him the nod as a Hall of Famer.
You think
what
so?
He's done so far. He's bored. He's not first ballot. No way.
No.
But he's with what he has done. Because I kind of look at. I think so much you look at what players did throughout their career, and I kind of try to look at what they did for a certain stretch, like what they did for a 5-6 season stretch, and what he did there, especially when the Cardinals were consistently in the, we're playing for a World Series.
Tony La Russa era.
Yes. And he was the main, he was the main focal point around that team, and obviously around that pitching staff. So And then on the other side, you have Max Scherzer, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion. And they're going to square off. I still consider Scherzer to be maybe the best pitcher in baseball today. And if there's a game that you need to win, you need one win in a game.
That's why the Dodgers went out and got him.
I mean, there's maybe only one guy that I would pick over Scherzer, and that's a healthy Justin Verlander.
Yeah. Now, let me throw this graphic back up here, because let's do some for instance here, 2Ks. And before we do that, I just want to throw out that there was a stat, and it's one of those, I wish I probably should have been a more prepared and on top of shit host, but there's a stat that said if the Braves, Brewers, White Sox, and Astros all played in the same division as the Giants and Dodgers, none of them would have made the playoffs. The Dodgers and the Giants would. Mm-hmm. That's kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. We have this conversation every year when it comes to the NBA playoffs, comparing the East to the West. So it's relevant here now too. And but let's do it for instance. Let's say that Scherzer does shut down this very potent Cardinals lineup. How much is it going to affect that pitching staff not having Clayton Kershaw, not having Trevor Bauer, which in my eyes, the reason they went and traded for Scherzer to begin with was because that, I'm pretty sure, is an organization. They're like, well, Bauer's done for at least this year. And that's what we're seeing. There's not going to be any Trevor Bauer throughout the playoffs, and for the foreseeable future, we're still not really sure what actually happened, what's going to happen, but let's just leave it at that. Do you think the absence of those guys, 2Ks, is going to kind of hinder this Dodgers team going, if they do make it past the Cardinals through this playoff run?
I mean, what team can you ever take Clayton Kershaw off of and expect that team not to take a hit? And then obviously with what Trevor Bauer, even though, like you said, it's not like this is anything new, the Dodgers would love to have him.
Oh yeah.
In this situation going into the playoffs.
That's why they signed him.
Probably wouldn't be playing for the wild card in all honesty if you. And not to take anything away from the Giants, they deserve everything and more.
How many games back were the Dodgers from the Giants? It was
one game.
One game. Yeah,
which, like I said, the Dodgers were the only team in baseball that were hotter than the Cardinals going down the stretch here. To say the last 10 games, the Cardinals were 8-2 to close the season. The Dodgers were 9-1, and the Giants were 8-2 also.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the Giants have just been steady all year long. They just I would like to know what their biggest losing streak was of games this year. I mean, when you only lose 50 some games in a major league season, you obviously didn't lose very many games, in a row.
No,
and that's what you have to do in baseball to win divisions, to get yourself into playoffs. Is you got to be able to stay away from those 4, 5, 6 game stretches where you don't get a win. You got to be able to cut that.
Yeah. And what's the old adage? Is that you want to win series at home and play 500 ball on the road?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
It's just that easy, folks. It's just that easy.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just kind of I'm looking ahead here, and getting back to the Cardinals 2Ks. There was a lot of folks that I'm not going to say wrote this team off just because they got off to a slower start, but if you look at the acquisitions they've made, the big ones, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, those two right there, whatever they had to give up in trade to get both those guys, unless one of these prospects comes out to be, like the next Acuna or something like that, you got to give the nod to the Redbirds for winning these trades, because man, both those dudes, I want to say, are over 30, if not over 35 home runs. And then out of nowhere, one of my new favorite player 2Ks, Tyler O'Neill, only because not only is he an awesome all-around ball player, I'm pretty sure he benches and squats and deadlifts more than anyone in the major leagues. That kid is just a fucking rock. And this is probably the last quarter of the season, probably no player's been hotter than him, and he's not getting any kind of hype, any kind of kind of kudos besides folks that live in and around St. Louis or are Cardinals fans. So I think it's going to be a big stage for kind of the Major League Baseball world to get to know Mr. O'Neill and kind of get to see what he's up to. And for those of you that do collect cards, just a big hint, you might want to go out and invest in some of his rookie cards. Just an FYI. Well, 2Ks, let's talk a little bit about the Braves and the Brewers. Braves and the Brewers. This is one of those where down the stretch, it seemed like I've already alluded to, I thought once Acuna went down, this team was done. But at the trade deadline, they made some sneaky pickups that I think have paid big dividends. I think all of us kind of thought Jorge Soler, even though he led the league in home runs, I think in 2019, kind of left for dead. And just a couple other sneaky pickups that have obviously you're never going to fill the role that or the hole that Acuna left, but these guys, man, they're consistent.
Yeah, and that's kind of how you have to go. When you lose a guy like Acuna, you're not going to be able to replace him with one guy. You're going to have to replace him with a whole multitude of guys. But to me, the biggest one here is a guy that was already on the Braves, in Austin Riley, who nobody talks about him, and nobody has talked about anything that he's done this year.
Another big kid.
And 2 or 3 years ago, when he was coming up from the minors, and he just kind of hit the field, and right out from day one, it was like, this kid is for real. And then had a year or two where he wasn't
right.
very good. Last year in the short season was not good at all, and I think people kind of started to write him off a little bit.
Well, there's a lot of Braves fans that were like, we need to get this kid out of here.
Yeah, and now you're looking at him here. Regular season's over, and he did nothing but bat .303, have 33 home runs and 107 RBIs. Leads the team in all three of those categories. Obviously, the most valuable player to that team this year. And if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for him stepping up and doing what he did, this team would not be playing. They got a lot of favors from some other teams.
Yeah. The Mets just taking a giant shit.
Just taking a shit.
Yeah.
A lot of it, there was so much off the field shit going on this offseason with the Mets and leading into the season. And even go back another year.
Steve Belichick sporting one of the most Boston fucking mullets in the history of mullets. Yes, I love it.
And even with the Mets, though, you can go back 2 years ago when Carlos Beltran was supposed to become the manager there. Obviously, that didn't happen. And then this whole offseason leading into this year with all the shit going on there. I think it's safe to say the manager in town there is not the guy that they necessarily wanted. And then
I'm sure having DeGrom go on the shelf too.
Yeah.
Not only once but a few times. And then it came out last week that we're going to shut him down for the rest of the year. Well, no shit. Yeah. No shit. I mean, come on.
And you can put blame on that for sure. There's a lot of things, but you look at a team like the Braves and if there's one guy in baseball that you just can't lose, it's a Acuna Jr. caliber player.
Yeah.
And for them, so the Braves, for them to go through this season and lose that and still make it to the playoffs, whatever they do from here on out, to me doesn't even matter, because they're playing in the playoffs where, to me, they don't even have any business being there. So kudos to them for doing what they've done. And obviously, I've never been shy about saying that. I'm obviously a Tigers fan, but the Braves are number 2 for me, so I will be rooting for them. Do I have very much faith in them?
Not
with
against
some of these other
teams
that they're playing against? Absolutely not.
I think what it's going to come down to in this series against Milwaukee is it has to be the top story has to be that Milwaukee starting pitching staff. Well, pitching staff just in general. I mean, I think what it's going to come down to is Craig Counsell. How is he going to manage this? Seems like in postseasons prior, he just runs out Hader, and here you go, Hader. Pitch until your arm falls off. And of course, I've never played at that level, but I'm sure it has to do at least a little bit. Is like you would think that once you see a guy a couple times, especially a couple days in a row, the more used to it you're going to see it. The more used to it you're comfortable you're going to be in the box. Hader, I mean he is one of the top closers in baseball. He is He's legit. He's lethal. He's nasty. But the more times you see that it is a hitter, and obviously 2K's you played at a higher level than I did. Does that come into play at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just from the experience I have, it has to. It has to. So the key to that series right there is it's one of those old adages: great pitching kind of neutralizes great hitting.
Yeah.
But with this, taking this Braves roster compared to last year, obviously Freddie Freeman wins the NL MVP last year, has an amazing year, has another amazing year, but it's kind of to your point, was kind of overshadowed by what Acuna was doing before he exited, and with Austin Riley having a career year, Dansby Swanson probably having the best offensive season that he's had so far, and then put on top of that, Ozzie Albies having another solid ass season, and getting back to like the Jorge Soler and the Travis d'Arnaud's and all the other supporting pieces of that team. That's a formidable offense. So in that series, yes, I'm definitely taking the Brewers pitching staff, but I think I'm leaning more towards the Atlanta offense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't even think it's close offensively.
Where in the hell is Christian Yelich? He is not. There was a lot of folks during that shortened season last year that we all kind of were like, well, let's see what they do next year, and a lot of them have bounced back. Your Chris Bryant's and some of the dudes that did not get off to a good start in that shortened season last year that just had shit numbers. Well, this is kind of rolled over to Christian Yelich, and as much as the success that pitching staff is going to have, Christian Yelich has got to show up in this postseason to make some noise. Otherwise, where else do you get? I mean, there really isn't a whole lot of other places to get offense from.
Looking at their numbers, it's former Tiger, drafted by the Tigers, Avisail Garcia is the leader in everything. He leads the team in batting average, home runs, and RBIs.
Yeah.
But it's leading the team in batting average at 262.
What's the
RBIs at 86? So the offense on this team is not even close.
No,
but it's the pitching. The pitching is so much better than the Braves pitching, and when it comes down to playoff baseball, you have to expect a lot of low-scoring games in the playoffs.
Yeah,
especially because what we've seen recently as far as postseason baseball is these managers are not holding these pitchers out there very long. They start to get bumped around a little bit, or they go through that lineup once or twice. They're done. They're moving on to the next one. Like you were talking about earlier, the more you see this pitcher, he goes through the lineup 3-4 times. The chances of getting to that pitcher are a lot higher the third, fourth time around. And managers are smart now. They're picking up. That's the analytics. Everything in baseball has changed to the analytics of the game. So it's not just the Brewers starting pitching. It's their bullpen is awesome too.
Yeah. And
they shut down games easy. And I think we'll see that they'll use all those pitchers in the postseason.
Oh, yeah.
They'll neutralize this Braves offense, who's obviously the strong point, and the Braves just don't have the pitching to match up in a 5-game series with these guys.
No, it would be, because I'm like you. My National League alliance lies with the Braves, just because we've talked about this at length on this show. Is because of TBS, we could see them all the time, and of course it didn't help that they were very, very good when they were owned by Ted Turner. And how much fun would this team be with Acuna, with Mike Soroka, with a lot of these guys that have gone down? And thoughts and prayers with Mike Soroka, man. He started out his career with a fucking bang, and for the last 2 years now, and we might not see him next year either. So,
well, what would the Braves have done differently, with Acuna there? They obviously probably wouldn't hit the deadline and added bats.
No.
Like a Jock Peterson and like a Jorge Soler or anything like that. They would have been a team going after a Scherzer and adding Scherzer into that. They would have been looking for a starting pitcher in that situation. Maybe and you take this Braves team and add Scherzer and you add Trey Turner to that team.
Yeah.
And but when they lost Acuna, they thought, well, we got to get a couple bats to try to replace
rightfully so.
To try to replace the 40, 50 home runs that Acuna was going to hit that year, and that's obviously what they needed to do to try to kind of piece it together. But something tells me that this team, if they had a healthy Acuna, they would have hit the deadline as complete buyers and trying to go for it, because this team with Acuna and when healthy is
the most dynamic player.
Yes.
Aside from Michael Trout.
Yeah.
Aside from him. But, you could argue that, he's the National League version of Mike Trout. But no, I completely agree with you, 2Ks. Well, let's do a rundown here. Let's do a rundown. Are you taking the Yanks or the Red Sox?
I'm taking the Yankees, man. I can't go against. I don't want the Yankees to win. Don't think I'm sitting here picking against your boys, because I'm not. I can't go against Greinke in this situation, and I think that the Boston
Cole?
has, Cole. I think Boston has kind of limped their way here to where they're at today.
That's a very polite way of saying it.
And the Yankees are they've been one of the hottest teams in baseball.
Yeah.
The second half of the season, so I got to go with Garrett Cole and the Yankees in that one.
I have to go Red Sox just because
I don't blame you.
If I don't, people are gonna have my nuts. But let's pick the other wild card. You going Dodgers or Cards?
Dodgers.
I'm going Cards.
They're
just too hot. They're too hot. And
Max Scherzer, I can't go against Scherzer.
It's hard to bet against Scherzer.
And then even after you get past Scherzer, the bullpen that Dodgers have
until you get to the closer,
lights out. And even he's got it figured out this year and has been. Look, I don't like the Dodgers any more than you do, and I've never been a Kenley Jansen fan, but he has been pretty solid this year. And I got to go Dodgers here. And then when the Dodgers win that. If that ends up happening, where the Dodgers win that game and that gets into, a series between the Dodgers and the Giants, holy shit, it's gonna be
awesome.
Yeah.
So you've got the Yankees. So let's switch back to the other side. You going Sox or Astros?
I'm going Sox.
Me too.
I like the Sox pitching, obviously way better than I do Houston. Houston really doesn't have a pitcher that I truly trust, and I think the White Sox have 3 or 4 pitchers that are better than anybody that Houston's going to throw at them.
Yeah.
And then that White Sox bullpen, if they are in anything or they have a lead after 6-7 innings, that bullpen's not blowing anything, and I got to go White Sox in that.
Well, before we move on, 2Ks, we got to give a big round of applause. The GOAT is now the all-time leading passer in NFL history, just eclipsed Drew Brees on this last drive. The Tampa's up 3-0. So TB12, you're sitting alone. And I do think it is rather cool that they do have Drew Brees on site too, just to kind of Mac Jones just caught it in the mouth. Yeah, and that's why you cannot bet. For all you folks that bet the Pats, I'm sorry. Bill Belichick can scheme it up however he fucking wants to, but Mac Jones is a bum right now.
Yeah, defensively they're going to be able to, I think, slow Brady down because they're going to force Tampa to have to run the ball.
Sure.
Can Tampa run the ball? But you got to be able to score some points to beat this team, and I don't think Mac Jones can
not
put
yet
enough points on the board.
Not yet. Not yet. And I'm saying he's a bum right now. Do I think the kid can play? Absolutely. Is he in the right system? Yes. But all this money that Belichick went out and spent, like day one of free agency, fucking sucks. And I have no idea why everyone was on his junk for all this. I mean, Hunter Henry is like the best dude that you signed, and he can't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. So you basically have the same offense as last year, minus James White. Now he's out for the year. So, and Mac Jones, please slow down on the interceptions, because I do have a futures bet that is not you to lead the league in interceptions. So help a brother out here. Help a brother out. But no, we had to give the GOAT a shout out too, Case. We had to. But no, I'm with you on the Sox. Because in the DS it's still best of 5, right? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, best of 5.
If this was a best of 7, I think it opens the door for Houston a little bit more. But I still think that one of the best stories to come out of Chicago on the White Sox side is Anthony Rendon. I mean, I'm pretty sure no White Sox fan even pictured him having even close to the success he's had this year. So, and you got Giolito, you got Dallas Keuchel, who's still Dallas Keuchel. He's not gonna burn, he's not gonna burn fastballs by dudes, but he'll carve you up on the corners and with off-speed stuff. And that bullpen, and when you've got a lineup like that,
Yep.
and you have probably the best leadoff hitter in the entire league in Tim Anderson, which doesn't give outside of Chicago, gets no recognition on how good he actually is, offensively, defensively, hitting in the clutch. I love the shit out of Tim Anderson, but no, I'm with you on the Sox. So let's go over to you going Braves or Brewers?
I'm going Braves. I love that Brewers pitching staff. Obviously, a lot more than I do the Braves, but just the way that the Braves ended the season and the Braves offense. And it's almost like they've kind of got it figured out a little bit with some of these younger kids pitching. Look, this team has no business being in there after the Acuna injury, and I think that they kind of are going to ride on that.
Sure.
As people, I think everybody wrote them off, including both of us.
Oh yeah,
and they're there.
They're dead.
And this Brewers team is
I think a product of a really mediocre division.
Look at what everybody in their division did at the deadline. I mean, the Cubs, they just sold everything that they had.
Poor Wilson
the
Contreras.
Pirates haven't had anything in years. And Cincinnati, just normal Cincinnati. They start the season off and they give everybody hope, all their fans hope like they're going to be something. And then the second half of the season, they just shit the bed like they always do.
Yeah, but big shout out to our boy Nick Castellanos.
Yeah,
had a hell of a season.
So for a team like the Braves to get through, get in over the Phillies, and then even though the Mets kind of shot themselves in the foot, Phillies were a really good team, and to get past them,
very resurgent Phillies. Yeah,
and a very well managed Phillies team.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got Joe Girardi.
Yeah, you got.
Again, yet another guy that people said was over the hill and couldn't do it. Yeah, whatever. Or he was just a product of a very good Yankee system. No, give me that day. Give me that guy most every day. So you got the Dodgers. Oh, you got the Dodgers. I got the Cards. You taking Giants or Dodgers?
I'm taking the Dodgers.
Ooh.
I still think the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. I mean, yeah, you take out Kershaw, but nobody talks about what Urias has done this year.
Or Walker Buehler.
Win 20 games, and you got Walker Buehler with 19 wins. And obviously, we've already talked about Scherzer.
We got
what that bullpen.
Three of the top 5 contenders for the National League Cy Young right there.
And look, this Giants team has been a wonderful story. Nobody expected them to be here. Nobody expected them to end the season as the best team in baseball.
No.
And they are. They have been the best team in baseball all season long. But now you're going to get into this. Now you're into the playoffs. Now you're into the situation where a lot of these guys haven't seen before.
No.
And these guys from the Dodgers have been there every year for the last 5 years. So I picked the Dodgers to win it all in the beginning of the season. And I still can't. I don't see anything. I mean, the Giants had the best season in all of baseball, and the Dodgers only won one less game.
Yeah.
So it's not like the Dodgers didn't play to their caliber. They did everything that they had to do. The Giants just played out of their fucking minds this season.
And we all thought they were going to come back down to earth,
games.
and they didn't.
Yeah.
They
you win 106 games in Major League Baseball, and you're not the best team.
Yeah,
that's hard. That's hard. So the Giants with 107 wins. It was an amazing regular season, but when it gets to this situation where a 5-game series, I'm going with the experience. I'm going with the guys that have done it for a long time, and so I gotta go Dodgers here.
I'm going Cards because it's 5 games. Because it's 5 games, you can ride that momentum longer. And even as good as the Giants have been, I'm with you. It took a historic year for them to get even this far. Is it going to be a letdown? No. I do think whichever team, the Dodgers or the Cards, make it into that series is going 5. I don't think there's definitely not going to be a sweep. But I got to ride the hot hand here. Even though the Giants have been the most consistent team in all of baseball, obviously had the best record in all of baseball, I'm riding the hot hand. I'm riding the hot hand. We already did the Braves Brewers, so let's go. Oh, we forgot Tampa against you got the Yanks. So you riding the Yankees, or you taking Tampa?
I'll go Tampa.
Yeah, all day.
Yeah, Tampa's
they're
the class of the American League.
It doesn't matter who wins this wild card game; they're not getting past Tampa.
No,
they're just Tampa is just they're a reason why. Which obviously in the AL East, there's 3 out of the 5 teams. So, or 4 teams, whichever it is. The Orioles obviously are not making any playoffs anytime soon, but Tampa's just too good. They're Kevin Cash does it yet again this year.
Maybe the best manager in baseball. Nobody talks about him really because he doesn't have that big name. But how many times in a row does this guy have to do it with? It's not like these names blow are blowing you out of the water. Like these are just they're good players. They have good players on this team, but they're not like it's not big time names. It's not MVP caliber players. It's
not Cy Young contending pitchers.
No, they just somehow win games. They somehow figure out ways to win games. They can win games and they can put runs on the board and all kinds of different situations. It's not like they just rely on one thing, hitting home runs, hitting extra bases. They can do everything. They can hit. They got guys that can hit home runs, but then they got guys that are on base all the time. So then they have guys hitting their home runs when guys are on base. They manufacture runs. They steal bases. They do everything right. And then on the other side of the ball, they play really good defense. They play maybe better defense than anybody in the league. And then they have guys that can pitch it.
And they're doing this without their Cy Young contender and Tyler Glass now. He doesn't go down with Tommy John. This team's even better. This team's even better, which is scary. Which is very scary. But no, I'm with you. It doesn't matter who wins Tuesday night. And this could be. I'm not going to say it'll be a sweep. It'll be 4 games. It won't go 5. It won't go 5. So we both got Tampa. We both got the White Sox. You riding Tampa in that matchup?
No, going White Sox.
Ooh.
Going White Sox. I think the White Sox.
They played. Franklin Plummer is now your best friend.
They played 3/4 of the season without even having their entire team. Yeah. Like maybe even more than that. And I'm talking about how long into the season before we saw Luis Robert? How long until we saw Eloy? Yasmani Grandal just coming back recently. And the thing that I can't talk about it anymore. Like the thing that we ripped on this team about over and over again is the pitching, and their pitching has been the best.
Yeah,
they've been the best in all of baseball in that category. And so then with all these players finally being healthy and finally being on the same team at the same time, like I really think that this is the White Sox year to get to the World Series.
I think it goes 7, but I'm taking Tampa. I'm taking Tampa. Just because and it's like I said, it's going 7, so it's going to be an amazing series. But on paper, the White Sox have a better lineup. The White Sox have a better pitching staff. Tampa fields the ball a whole lot better, and that might be the Achilles heel of this White Sox team. Is their fielding? Is their fielding? You took the Dodgers and the Braves. You still riding the Dodgers on that one?
Yeah. I think. I know record-wise, the Giants are the best team in baseball. I still think the Dodgers are the best team in baseball.
I mean, and it's hard to argue with all the.
I thought they were the best team in baseball before they made those moves,
right.
And then they made those moves, and it was like, okay, who can?
Well, that you got to support your boy Trey Turner, so understandable.
Who had a fucking year this year.
Yeah, completely under the radar.
Had a fucking year.
Completely under the radar, but you're right, he did. I've got the Cards and the Braves. I'm going to go with the Braves in this one. I'm going to have a Tampa-Atlanta World Series. Probably one of the least viewed World Series in World Series history, but I'll be super geeked about it.
I would be too.
But you've got the Sox and Dodgers. Sox and Dodgers. You've got the Fighting Franklins against the Kyler Thornburgs. You still riding the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Dodgers win it all.
I think the Dodgers win it all.
I got Tampa, and that's not because I'm a fucking homer. Because obviously, if my Red Sox make it past Tuesday, Tampa's got to beat my Red Sox. So that's not a homer pick at all, assholes.
You know who can't fucking catch? Not to totally change the subject, but I've watched a lot of football games, and Leonard Fournette could not catch his ass if he sat in his hands like that. He fucking. I have never seen him catch a football. This ball is that's not the easiest catch to make. It's a little bit low, but an NFL caliber football player catches that ball every single time.
Well, that's the problem. Brady threw it and it hit his hands.
Like that. And this goes back to a lot of weeks. Like, I've never seen this guy catch a football.
No, he's a great runner of the football, catcher of the football. Not so much. But I mean, how Derrick Henry's made a pretty good career just running the ball. Oh, he missed it. Oh, suck up your fucking cut. Fucking cut. You cannot miss kicks like that in the Goat Bowl. You're cut. You're done. Brady's telling him.
Going to be about a 6-0 game tonight.
Yeah, so hopefully you did not take the over.
I luckily took the under.
We've already done our baseball picks, so let's give the folks a little extra content here, 2Ks. I got something to get off my chest. I took a fucking bath this week. I took not a literal cleanse my body bath, but
I was going to say good. That's good.
Yeah, sweet smelling, just for you. But no, first of all, my Irish lost. Don't like how they lost, but that's for a whole other show. So I'm thinking, all right, when it comes to stuff like that, usually an entire weekend does not go my way. Something has got to give. So I'm like, all right, well, the Irish lose, okay, but they lost to a good team. My bets have got to be on fire. No. I decided to take a lot of underdogs in the points, and teams just decide to blow the fuck out of each other. When you're giving me 17.5, 18.5, 19.5 points, I'm like, give me those points all day. Are you kidding me? No. Alabama decided to just shit down the throat of whoever they were playing. Georgia decided to do the same thing. I did win I did bet Michigan to win. I did hit that one. I did hit one other one that we were talking about that I can't remember right now. But yeah, horrible weekend. I guess the only kind of bright side to it, 2Ks, is I might win my first fantasy football.
There you go.
Of course, it doesn't hurt Matt, the guy I'm playing, had Dalvin Cook, and I think he got him 11 points. You got him 11 points, which is kind of hard when that's your first overall pick.
Yeah, that one's rough. Hey, but you could have your first overall pick not playing today, like Christian McCaffrey for me.
That's very true.
And I am also joining you without having a win in our fantasy football league this year. So this might be the last year of the annual Turbo and 2K's fantasy football draft. But unlike you, my friend, my weekend's actually been pretty good as far as my sports goes. Michigan won, so I'm happy about that. Notre Dame lost, so I'm really happy about that.
I'm sure you're stoked about that.
My Cowboys won today. Happy about that.
Very decidingly. Decidingly.
Did a 3-game parlay. Took the underdog yesterday on a $9 bet. Bet $9 on it. I don't know why I chose $9, but that's what I chose to bet on it. And I picked the underdog in 3 different games. Texas Tech over West Virginia, Nevada over Boise, and Kentucky over Florida. And all 3 of them hit. I think I won like $320-some off of that.
Not a bad day.
Yeah.
Were those all money lines, or did you take points?
Took money lines on all 3 of them. All 3 of them to win. So, and all 3, I mean, for all 3 of those teams to win.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So, as far as my sports go for the weekend, it was a great weekend. Spent the whole weekend camping with my family. Got up today, took Nolan, my youngest son, to hockey practice. He's starting hockey.
Ooh.
He's skating. So he was skating on the ice today. Today was the second practice that he's had. And practice number 2 went way better than practice number 1. So I'm hoping that it keeps on heading that direction. So,
Now, do they have him skating around with like the little walkers?
No. they just throw him on the ice and have him skate around. And he spent most of the time last week just kind of standing in the same place or laying on the ground crying because he would.
That would be me trying to skate.
Down.
Yeah,
and today, he hardly ever fell. He was
nice.
kind of skating all in a circle all around center ice. And then I got to go out there and skate with him, and I haven't skated for probably 10 years, and I still got it.
You're a bigger man than me. But one thing I will tell you, 2Ks, is that the older you get, when you fall, it hurts more.
Yeah,
it hurts more. But yeah, just keep that in mind, because that ice is just as hard as or harder than the ground.
Yeah.
So
a little slippery than the last time. What I remember ice being, it was pretty slick when I first stepped out there. It was like, whoa, okay. And then once I started going around a little bit, then I was like, my 18-year-old self kind of started to come back out in me a little bit. And
I couldn't tell you the last time I was on ice skate.
We'll see how I'm feeling in the morning.
Which game? Was it the Michigan game that was on Fox? Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, love Gus Johnson.
Oh,
love Gus
Doesn't
Johnson.
get much better than him.
And he was him and one of the sideline reporter went and played hockey at the Wisconsin, and he's like, "Yep, my knees and hips hurt so bad right now." So I'm pretty sure he was a little bit more agile than you probably were skating around with some little kids, but you never know. I'm sure Gus has a few years on you.
Oh yeah.
And that's one thing that made that Michigan game even more enjoyable to watch. I could listen to Gus Johnson call a turtle race.
Oh yeah.
He is electric. He is by far my favorite play-by-play guy. Love him to death. And it's a shame that he went to Fox and is no longer on the March Madness tour, because he could make a 50-point blowout just interesting as fuck. I absolutely love Gus Johnson.
And I like the other guy too. Was it Joel? Was it Blatt or Blatt? I can't even remember the name.
The one guy I don't like was what he was with today was Aqib Talib calling the Lions.
I can't imagine that's
damn horrible. Like I wanted to tweet out how bad it was, but then I'd have to Google how to spell his name. So I'm like, that's too much work.
There's a lot of them, these former players that are just it's not their calling. I watched a game last week and nothing. Love Randy Moss as a player. I don't want to listen to Randy.
No.
You get into the what is it, Monday Night Crew, where they have like Michael Irvin. Hey, love my Cowboys. Love years and years of Michael Irvin. I don't want to listen to Michael Irvin talk though.
Especially don't want to hear him yell at Stephen A. Smith during First Take.
No, I don't want to listen to First Take ever. I don't want to listen to Stephen A. Smith ever.
No,
not one time. But there's just a lot of guys. The list goes on. Don't get me started about Booger McFarland. I don't want to listen to him ever.
Yeah.
But there are some good ones. There's some good ones that former players. Peyton Manning. The Manning thing going on,
which is a shame.
They're not coming back until like week 7.
It's like
But I have actually looked forward to
absolutely
watching that Monday night game because of those two, and not so much Eli. He has a couple of little lines that are funny, but most of it just the Manning and Peyton Manning and just
to see how they view the game.
Yeah,
I mean and then once they bring on some of these
other big guys.
I mean, they brought on Pat McAfee, my dude, and he fucking killed it. He's been probably one of the best guests they've had, and just hearing LeBron throw his old high school football quarterback under the bus, that was pretty fun. I feel bad because they're going to do it with a couple other guys while the Mannings are off for this little 3-week hiatus, but good luck to you because you got some big fucking shoes to fill. And the first week I watched it, I was like, man, I wish that you could hear the game better. So then I was like, I flipped it. Week 2, I actually watched the whole thing and actually fell in love with it. I'm like, all right, yes, this is awesome. This is awesome. And especially too, it brings a whole other enjoyment level if you have nothing invested in the game. Whether if you're a fan of one of the teams that are playing, you're going to be vested in it regardless. If you have a couple fantasy players that are playing in it, you're invested regardless. But if you don't have a vesting interest or a horse in the race, if you want to put it that way, it kind of gives you a little something else to pay attention to. So big kudos to that. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to when they're back, because it's been I'm just like you. It makes me more excited for, which, as a football fan, you really don't need a whole lot more excitement to be built up for Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But it's just one extra thing. It's like, all right, cool.
I'm looking ahead because it's week 7 when they're coming back. Yeah. So that Monday night game will be Saints and Seahawks. That potentially could be a pretty decent game.
Yeah.
That night for them. But yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know. It's kind of a. It's not, and like the crew that they have right now for the Monday night games has been. It's been pretty good. I like those guys for the most part. But yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a bummer that you can't kind of, because I like to change it to both. I like to watch both sides of it. And honestly, with the Monday night game last week being, the Cowboys in it,
yeah,
I would listen to more of the actual Monday night feed because when you listen to especially Peyton Manning, he has a way of dragging you away from watching the game, and you get caught up in watching and listening to just him. And so when it comes to the Cowboys, I want to listen. I want to just focus on what's going on in that game.
Yeah.
Which the Cowboys just destroyed the Eagles in that game, so that was nice to see. But no, and now with the Cowboys not playing in the Monday night game for a while, I would look forward to watching probably the Manning side more than I would the actual Monday night feed.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And even if the Bears were playing, I still would probably listen to the Manning cast, just because.
Might just mute that.
Yeah.
That was a shit fest today with the Bears and the Lions. Bears played all right.
Yeah, but their defense played amazing.
They always do.
The offense had to look better than last week. But I think if you're a Bears fan, you're liking what you're seeing more and more from Justin Fields. It was a shame that Montgomery went down. I was watching a card break when he went down, so I didn't even see what happened. So hopefully it's not long term, because again, not only am I a Bears fan, but he's on my fantasy team. My fantasy team lost him, and even before the game started, lost Julio Jones and Chase Claypool. So I had to start 2 backup receivers. Just lucky that Montgomery got in the end zone twice and went over 100 yards, which helped, even though he is probably not going to be available for a couple weeks. So
yeah, I was glad to see. I was happy to see that the Bears went with Fields again, gave him a shot. They went against that Cleveland defense that just destroyed him the week before.
I have a feeling Cleveland's going to destroy a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins, one of the hottest quarterbacks in football.
Yeah,
and Cleveland made him look horrible today. So
it's last week's which rightfully so. There were so many memes flying around and so many people's opinions about how. I think one of them was completely outrageous that Fields should just hold out and make the Bears trade him. Let's pump the brakes a little bit on that one. But no, Cleveland's going to do that to a lot of teams, and in particular that Bears team. And it did make Nagy look fucking horrible, because his whole game plan and everything was shit. No, he should have known that, hey, we have a very young quarterback that's extremely mobile and a line that sucks. Why not put him on the move more, or get the ball out of his hands quicker, or any number of things. So I like the game plan better, but I need to see it more and more, because at the end of the day, I hate to say it, that same old Lions. And I'm hoping, just for content purposes, Motor City Dan Campbell is. They let him hang out there, because I really do think he will be a good coach. Maybe not with Detroit, but because I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of coaches that will be successful there. And maybe the Calvin Johnson curse is legit. Mac Jones drives down. Next, Hunter Henry. We talked about him. He's actually healthy. Don't jump up and down too hard. And don't jump up and down too hard.
That's just what we have. As soon as we talk shit about people, they go off.
It's the Turbo and 2K's curse. Either we talk really good about them and they take a gigantic shit, or we talk shit and they're like, "Oh, fuck you guys. Watch this. Watch this." But no, it's this NFL season's been pretty crazy so far.
It really has.
Pretty crazy.
There's been a lot of shocks, and today I didn't know. I was kind of talking like last week after watching the Jets that they were going to win a game all year. They go out today, beat the Titans.
Zach Wilson put together a hell of a day.
He did.
Hell of a day.
He did.
And the Giants got their first win. I mean, there was a lot of.
The Saints. It's like, what is this Saints team? Obviously, I know they're not going to be really good because they got Jameis Winston as their quarterback.
Yeah, crab legs.
They should be good enough to beat the Giants.
I would think so.
The defense, and I'm talking about the defensive side of the ball, where the same defense that held the Packers to 3 points in Week 1, and they allow the Giants to just basically destroy them. And
it's good to see Saquon go off today.
Saquon is looking like Saquon. I don't think that knee is a problem.
Nope.
I mean, going into the season, there was a lot of questions about Saquon and the knee, Dak Prescott and the ankle. I think those guys have proven that there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, well, especially with Dak's case. I mean, when your foot goes the wrong way, and then you as Billy Badass try to snap it back in, and it still doesn't go back in.
Smacking it on the field, trying to straighten it back out. It wasn't going to get any straighter.
No.
But he's looked awesome.
Yeah,
he's looked awesome. And this Dallas team. Again today against the undefeated Panthers team. Yeah, they just took care of business. It wasn't the cleanest game like it was, like how they played it last Monday night against the Eagles, where they just destroyed them. But they're coming on a short season or a short week, and they're coming in against an undefeated Carolina team who has looked really good. Yeah. Sam Darnold has looked really good, and that defense for Dallas shows up yet again. Yeah, the Carolina put up 28 points on the board, but Dallas turned them over again. And not to just keep on giving Dallas more and more credit, because I could sit here all night.
It's rightfully so, though. It's rightfully so.
I really think, as far as their defensive back and Trayvon Diggs, we're talking about one of the next best defensive backs in the game. And then with their first round draft pick and Micah Parsons, maybe the best rookie in this season on both sides of the ball. There's a lot to be excited about with this Dallas team right now, and some of the big names that we're always talking about haven't really hit that yet. CeeDee Lamb hasn't really had his CeeDee Lamb season yet, other than
Zeke's
the first
back.
week of the season. Zeke's been back. They're getting just as much out of Tony Pollard as their number 2 back, who's been really good this year. They're getting play out of 2 different tight ends.
I couldn't even tell you their names.
Yeah, 3-4 different receivers that are doing this. Their offensive line looks like the offensive line that they had of old. Their defensive line is looking. I can't even say enough about their defense.
Did DeMarcus Lawrence play today?
DeMarcus Lawrence is out he's going to be out for a while, and they got a lot of guys on the defense side of the ball that are out, and they just keep on. They just keep on showing up. They just keep on getting better, and the Dan Quinn effect. I mean, look, it worked there for a little bit as the head coach in Atlanta, and then it kind of fizzled out there. I think a lot of his coordinators. Obviously, when one of them goes to be the head coach of the 49ers and the quarterback coach leaves to go be the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, and when you start losing your staff, it's obviously going to start to get a little bit harder for you to keep things going, and I think that's what happened to him. But I think Dan Quinn's, when he's at his best, it's when he's just in charge of a defense.
Yeah, and he's if you guys have followed the show for any amount of time, that's one of the biggest things that we've said about the Cowboys, that they're not going to win many games having to score 45 or 47 points just to win the game. So, and I've kind of got a little bit of fandom there just because Jalen Smith's over there, one of my Notre Dame guys, and he's had a bounce back season. It seems like the last year and a half, he's kind of went by the wayside, and you really don't hear his name a lot, and you're seeing his name pop up a lot. So, you have every right to be sporting your cowboy boner, because it's.
And I'm gonna sport it.
They're badass.
I'm gonna sport it all year long. As of right now, you cannot tell me there's a better team in the NFL than them.
No.
I think that there's obviously teams that are right there. Arizona Cardinals showed today that maybe they're that team, and Tampa Bay, obviously they beat Dallas in that Week 1 game, but where we're at right now and what I've seen as far as 4 games into the season, what I've seen in week in, week out is
they're the most complete team.
This Dallas team has gotten better. They've played better every single week, and I don't think you can say that about everybody else in the league.
And They can pass it, they can run it, they can block it, they can defend it, they can kick it. Like I said, they're right now they're the best all-around team in football, hands down. Well, 2K, any other thing we need to wrap up here, my friend?
Nope, I think that's everything.
All right. Well, I'll let you kind of sit there and chill so your cowboy boner can go down, so you don't have to walk out the door with it.
Stand up yet.
Don't want to scare all 5 people watching on YouTube. Well, 2K crew, we will get you out of here on this. You guys have a fantastic week, and as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.